Hello everybody, this is Dragonzilla here, and if you're a follower or subscriber to this channel, then you will know that I make videos on Godzilla, Kaiju and prehistoric animals, to name a few other subjects. Well, they're not the only topics that I make videos on. I'm also a Doctor Who fan, and while I may not talk about the franchise itself that often, there is one certain monster that I do now and then cover. It was the first thing to feature on this channel, it has been reviewed occasionally, there's been the odd slideshow, and of course, back in late 2018, I did a creepypasta on these creatures for Halloween, so it's obviously clear that my number one favourite Doctor Who monster of all time is the Sontarans. No, just kidding, it's the Daleks. So yeah, you had probably already have guessed that, as they are what got me into Doctor Who in the first place. However, unlike the other subjects I've known since childhood, the Daleks were surprisingly not part of it. Well, sort of, because the original series ended in 1989, with the final story to be aired, which was Survival, starring Sylvester McCoy as the 7th Doctor. A pretty ironic title because the series got cancelled shortly after it premiered. And I arrived on the scene 2 years later, so I grew up in what many folks called the wilderness years, and had zero knowledge on anything related to Doctor Who. This included the Daleks, but if my memory serves me correctly, I believe I saw a repeat of Remembrance of the Daleks that was on UK TV Gold in mid-2003, 2 years before the new series was launched. And speaking of which, when season 1 first started, I only watched the first 5 episodes as a casual viewer. However, it was the 13th of April that made me into a fan, and it was the 2-part finale, Bad Wolf and Pawn of the Waste, that made the Daleks my all-time favourite monster. So what is it about these killer tin cans that I like? Why did they make Doctor Who a popular series back in late 1963 and put the franchise back on the map in early to mid 2005? Well, there are so many reasons why the Daleks are my favourites. I guess it may be because they're different and nothing like them had ever come before. Oh yes, there had been similar based characters in other sci-fi shows throughout the years afterwards, i.e. R2-D2 from Star Wars, which to me looks more like a baby Dalek, minus the gun, plunger, eye stalk and hemispheres. I also like the Daleks because they have a lot of great stories. Okay, there are some weaklings and the odd stinker now and then that are not worth thinking about, but they're outnumbered by the best ones. I did originally think that they were some kind of tin can robot, until it was revealed that they're actually mutants inside battle armour, and I pretty much labelled the Daleks as monsters rather than robots. In fact, one actually shows up in a monster size comparison video on YouTube. They're also well known for turning up in the most unlikely of places, or occasionally hijack another invader's conquest to take over the Earth and steal the show. I remember first seeing the ending to Army of Ghosts when the cult of Skaro emerged from the void ship / sphere. I cried out, "Daleks! Oh my god, it's the Daleks!" I was 14 at the time, and despite being 32 now at the time making this video, I still get goosebumps whenever I watch that scene. Even though the Next Time trailer hinted at them showing up, but it was a blink and you'll miss it moment, and quick to forget like I did, unless you recorded Fear Her and watched it over and over again religiously. But I digress. I kinda knew that the Daleks would make a comeback someday, however I wasn't expecting it until season 4, so it was a real big surprise. I prefer them over other monsters in the franchise, including the Cybermen, which I'll talk about later. Another reason why I like them would be their origins, not only in the series but production wise as well, because it was first thought they were going to be nothing more than bug-eyed monsters that would send the show to humiliation and then eventually cancellation, only to be celebrated after their uncertain debut as kids were going to school yelling, "Exterminate! Exterminate!" down the halls, giving birth to Dalek Mania. Speaking of which, they're not only fun to impersonate, but their battle cry is just as iconic as the monsters themselves, and so are their bone-chilling electronic voices. And as soon as you hear their battle cries, you know that either you or someone who you care for may not survive and live to tell the tale. When they shoot out their death rays, Daleks are pretty much like dragons breathing fire, or Godzilla blasting his atomic breath. They are feared in the same way as the King of the Monsters is feared, so I would go as far to say that the Daleks are Doctor Who's Godzilla. The earliest Dalek figures that I ever got were the Corgi diecast models and talking Daleks, large and miniature, from Product Enterprise, and then graduating to the modern day figures from Character Options. As a kid, I didn't really pay much attention to the different designs for the Daleks on screen apart from the colour schemes. All I thought was, oh cool Daleks! And as for a result, I thought that they were all the same. Oh yes, I could tell the difference between a TV Dalek and a movie Dalek, but I used to think that all Daleks, classic-wise, were the same, and in some regards, they were the same props. But throughout the years, the Daleks have had different styles of eye stalks and dome lights, etc. and so on, and the tops and bottoms from other parts would have been switched around. And in the case of the Grey Daleks, the paint jobs could either be dark, light, a bit of a bluish colour, or in between. So if you look past the builds of the props and see them as other members of the species, then I would dare to say that the Daleks have had more incarnations than the Doctor or even the Cybermen. While we're on the topic, let's now talk about the second most popular Doctor Who monster, the Cybermen, and they're scary in their own way. But while the Daleks are frightening because they will kill you or anyone who you love, and send places that you know to oblivion, however they're as fictional as dragons at least, and could never happen. But the Cybermen are even more terrifying because they can become reality. As today, you see people talking on their phones, playing on their iPads, addicted to gaming consoles, and listening to music on their iPods. Well, to be fair, I do those things myself, and so do you. It's only natural, but they do however say that technology is slowly consuming us, and those who have missing limbs are getting robotic parts that are designed to take the place of arms and legs. So in 100 years' time, we could become real-life Cybermen, or at least something like them. Either way, the Cybermen are fictional, just like the Daleks. And whatever happens in the future, it's a long way off. Also, you know earlier when I said that the Daleks are the Godzilla of Doctor Who? Well, for the Cybermen, I believe that they would be the franchise's Mecha Godzilla. I know some of you will be saying that the Mechanoids fit that description, but the thing is that despite appearing more than once in other forms of media, the Mechanoids have only been one-offs in the television series. Unless there's a change of heart and someone decides to bring them back in a future episode, but I digress. Well, the Cybermen have had more than one appearance, just like Mechagodzilla in the Godzilla series, and Doomsday was the Doctor Who equivalent to Godzilla vs Mechagodzilla. The Daleks, i.e. Cult of Skaro, were Godzilla, and the Cybermen Mechagodzilla, and my money was on the Daleks. I always preferred Daleks over Cybermen, even as a kid. So I've told you all the many reasons why the Daleks are my favourite monsters of the 60-year-old franchise, but what are my favourite stories that feature them? Which ones do I get enjoyment out of the most? Well, if I told you all in great lengths on why I like these particular episodes and talked about them in a lot of detail, then we would be here all day. So this is a listing of my top 10 favourite Dalek stories from Doctor Who, classic and new series. Number 10, The Stolen Earth and Journey's End. Number 9, Planet of the Daleks. Number 8, The Daleks. Number 7, Doomsday. Number 6, Revelation of the Daleks. Number 5, Resurrection of the Daleks. Number 4, The Parting of the Ways. Number 3, The Chase. Number 2, Remembrance of the Daleks. And number 1, Genesis of the Daleks. I pretty much like a lot of Dalek episodes, but there are some that I cannot stand, such as Asylum of the Daleks and Into the Dalek. I used to like Victory of the Daleks, but I've long since got off it. I don't really care much for it. Oh, and don't get me started on The Magician's Apprentice and Witch's Familiar. Davros opening his eyes. Seriously, what were they thinking? So I've basically seen every single Dalek story, except for the 12-part epic The Daleks Master Plan, or 13 if you count its prequel, Mission to the Unknown. However, those 10 episodes that I've just mentioned now are my personal favourites. As for Dalek designs in general, well, I have a top 10 video that is scripted, and it was going to be made to commemorate the franchise's 60th anniversary, but due to personal things getting in the way, I haven't had the time to make it. It's why you only got the review on the Death Zone Dalek instead. Links in the description, but I'll do it another time. However, I wanted to make this video before the 21st of December, because 2023 is not only Doctor Who's 60th anniversary, but it is also the 60th anniversary to the Daleks as well. So in that case, happy 60th birthday Daleks, and here's to another 60 years of exterminating all inferior life forms in the universe. And because us kaiju fans consider the 3rd of November to be Godzilla Day, perhaps maybe the 21st of December should be labelled as Dalek Day. Only a thought. This is Dragonzilla signing out. Take care and I'll see you all next time. And in the good words of the first Doctor, a Merry Christmas to all of you at home. Bye for now.